This is a story from 1956, and there are three of us who are being a part of it. We are starting with...
We wanted George Johnson, class of 57.
All right, and Dick Leon, class of 57.
John Carroll, class of 56.
And John's going to start the story and give us kind of the setup.
In 1956, the Alpha Delta Phi fraternity had an opportunity to run one of its members for student body president, and that would have been the first student body president of the university in the Alpha Delta Phi history.
Yeah, I was the candidate that the House chose to run for the office, and John was my campaign manager. So one of the things we had to figure out is what kind of theme are we going to use. John and I were roommates, and John, why don't you tell us what we came up with?
We decided that Richard Leon fit with Richard the Leon-hearted.
So that was the theme that we used, and then we needed someone to construct some of the elements of the drama, and George was our construction man. So George, tell us, what are the items that you constructed for us?
Well, if you're going to have Richard the Leon-hearted, if you get him elected as president, maybe you start with being a king. So we got a king's chair that could be carried down on the campus, much like a chariot. And all of the members had spears they would hold up and cheer. And we had two-story high signs of swords that everybody could see while they were studying in class, looking out the windows.
Right. They would hold these, if you're sitting in class, they would march in front of the classes in the quad, and you could see it from the second story up as well as the first story. Then they had also a huge shield that George constructed, and it was on rollers. And then in between the break of classes, they would run this shield all the way through the quad, and it would scare people to death, and eventually they voted out of some kind of fear factor, perhaps, that it worked. But the election went on, and we won the election, and so the next year I was ASUW president. What do you think of all that, John? John was going to graduate. He's out of the school by the time I do this, so tell us what that meant for you.
It made us very proud to be Alpha Delts. It was a big thing for the continuation of Alpha Delta Phi as its strong position at the University of Washington.
Yeah, it's true that the House was remarkable in its areas of excellence. We had athletes. We were always on the top several in academics. We had student government. We were in the Song Fest, usually won that. Very well-rounded, and the cohesion of the House in putting a campaign on like this was really quite remarkable. So that's the story from the spring of 1956, many years ago.